This is crazy. I get this question all the time, and I've heard this comment over the years. Charles, I'm going to wait till the market crashes. Let's wait until the market softens. Let's wait until that market crashes. Newsflash, probably not going to happen. I'm about to tell you why. I'm going to be honest today. No fear, no hype, just the simple truth about what I think in the Colorado Springs market. And we're going to talk about actually just what the numbers say. So if you're moving to Colorado Springs or getting stationed at one of the 5 military installations within El Paso County, this video is for you. So here we go. We have high interest rates. I know in the last video that I just put out last week, talked about how great the market was, a 2026 February market update. Well, I'll tell you what, interest rates have been over 6% for about 38 months, and they just dropped below 6% in January of 2026 for the first time. However, we've had high interest rates for a very long time. I swear to man. I can't win. With all this being said, prices are up from 2020. Can you believe it? They are up. National headlines have been screaming bubble for years. And I'll tell you what, so many people have missed out on so much money. And because they're waiting for this bubble to happen, but I don't think it's actually going to happen here in Colorado Springs, and we're about to get into why. People keep comparing this market to 2008, which is not the case. We're not even in the same galaxy as the 2008 market. Lending standards are way different. There's no such thing as a ninja loan anymore. Back before 2008, you used to be able to sign one piece of paper and you'd be able to get a several $100,000 loan. Now the lending practices are absurd in a good way. It's kind of a pain, but I'll tell you what, you cannot get a government-backed loan, meaning FHA, CFHA, or VA, without the lender quite literally needing your last colonoscopy report. I can't even make that up. That's a stretch, but they do need your children's DNA. That's a stretch, but still it's very close. With the exception of those two things, they pretty much need everything. Lending standards are extremely tight and under a microscope. If a lender thinks that you can pay back a $400,000 loan, the odds are, the numbers are not lying, you absolutely can. Sometimes I have clients that are looking in the $400,000 to $600,000 price range, and then they get approved for $1 million, and they're like, no way, we could never afford that. I'm like, well, because of lending practices today, you probably can. On lending again, we have locked interest rates. So those are not going to change. A lot of the pre-2008 issues they were doing ARMs. Your payment would be $3,000 for the first 3 years, and then it would go up to like $8,000 or whatever the scenario is. That is not the case anymore. The only time I ever seen ARMs, or what they called back then balloon payments, is for land. Land loans are very typical to have ARMs on them, meaning your payment will be fixed for the first 3 years and then it'll go up. Excuse me, still getting over this flu B that I have. So some other things that I want to talk to you about are the amount of equity that people have in homes. Before 2008, there was not a whole lot of equity. So when people got in trouble and those balloon payments actually happened, they had no way out. Now, a lot of people have so much equity in their homes that they have the ability to HELOC if times get tight. I'll probably do an entirely separate video on a HELOC and ways to get money out of your home without getting your home sold. Now, you have so many opportunities to do things with the equity in your house. There's not a whole lot of wave of foreclosures either. So we're seeing a lot of short sales, people that bought at the height of the market in 2020, 2021, and now they need to sell. Well, homes have not typically dropped in price. However, they've leveled off. So if they had a low interest rate, that's great. But if they had a higher interest rate, meaning 5, 6, 7%, every payment they make is mostly going to interest. It's not bringing down their principal amount that much. So therefore, they're not having a ton of equity in a house. So we're talking time here. Timing is everything once you own the home. I will tell you that if you're going to own a house for less than 2 years, you probably shouldn't buy. But if you know that you're going to own that house for 2 years or more, you're probably going to be in a better equity position when you go to sell when it comes to years 4, 5, and 6. Also, inventory is still constrained, meaning that we're not having a crazy amount of inventory. So I mentioned in the video last week, we measure the speed of our market by months of inventory. We are still under 5 right now. Back in 2008, I mean, I think there was like 12, 15 months of inventory, in some markets even more after that 2008 housing market crisis. In Colorado Springs, we have 3 market stabilizers that I think are very unique to us. Number 1, and I've hit this in multiple videos that I've put out, the military presence. We have 5, folks, 5 military installations within El Paso County. How crazy is that? And I always count Buckley as well. That's a Space Force base up in Aurora, Colorado. Buckley Space Force Base, I always count that one. It's about 50 minutes north of here. But we have people that are stationed there, and then they purchase down here. Your dollar goes a little bit further. And I can't even make this up. Some of these people, I don't know how they swing it, but the military, the government is giving them a vehicle with a gas card so that they don't have to pay any maintenance, no gas, no insurance. They have a free vehicle to commute back and forth with. It's absolutely amazing. So yes, I always count Buckley. So let's make that 6 military installations here that stabilize our market. And I've mentioned this multiple times because it is a huge factor. I don't know a place in the entire world that has 6 military bases within an hour drive that are as large as these military bases that have this amount of soldiers that are moving in and out that need to sell or they need to buy. And I will tell you that these military installations are not leaving. So demand is always going to be there. All right, let's hit number 2. I'm going to call this limited land supply. So yes, Fort Carson's on the south side. The rest of the military installations are circling Colorado Springs. We have these beautiful mountains here to the west that you can see. You can't build on the mountains. Everything is happening and it's getting pushed further and further east. And that's where we're seeing all this expansion. So number 1, military presence is one of the reasons why I don't think we're going to see a crash here in Colorado Springs. And that is the number 1 reason. Number 2, we just have a geographical limitation as well. And it draws in so many people. I talked about the limitation. Now let's talk about the great things. These mountains also are not going away. So we have people that are just enthralled, excited, and they love the mountains. There's this saying we use here all the time, the mountains are calling. That is a real thing because people move here all the time. So let's talk about the tourism. Let's talk about all these other great things that come with the mountains and living in Colorado. For example, driving up to the top of that mountain right behind me, America's Mountain, Pikes Peak, 14,115 feet all the way to the top. It is an amazing thing. Now, I have an entire video that basically talks about number 2, and then that is a good transition into number 3, which is going to be the desirability. And like I said, I have an entire video dedicated to the pros and what makes Colorado Springs so magical to live here. Now, talking about desirability, we have the outdoor lifestyle that only people can dream of. We have a lower cost than Denver and a lot of areas up north. And now let's talk about job growth. We have so many people that are working here in so many different fields. And for those reasons, and I don't want to get into all of those in this video because I have a video that pretty much covers all of that. The desirability of Colorado Springs is number 3. Now let's transition into what could actually happen. These are things that we're actually seeing. So there's no hype here. I'm not going to be overly dramatic on this, but what we are seeing is a flattened market. So yes, inventory's gone up, rates have gone up, inventory is, like I said, gone up. However, homes are still selling. And that is a conversation that I have with all of my sellers at these listing appointments. They're seeing all this doom and gloom stuff on the national media, which does not reflect what we're seeing here in Colorado Springs. Yes, we have corrected. Yes, we have flattened a little bit. However, homes are still selling. We're seeing minor corrections of 3 to 5%. We're seeing longer days on market. Like I said, February 2026, this is being recorded March 2nd, 2026. We're at 81 days on market. So yes, we have gone from 1 day to 81 days. That has definitely gone up. That is not something that I can hide or shadow. That is an absolute fact. That is public knowledge. We're seeing seller concessions on almost every single deal. And if we're not seeing seller concessions, we're seeing a contract price that is much lower than the list price. So either way, a buyer is getting a deal, whether it's by way of concessions from the seller or it is a better contract price. Negotiation leverage for buyers is something that I've also hit. That is something that when we walk through the doors and when the first thing that we look at is the days on market. If we're above 81 days on market, that is real buyer leverage, and that is something that gets me very excited, and I will call that a seller concession house. Now, as a listing agent with our sellers, we're always trying to beat that days on market, which is 81 right now, because we know that any good buyer's agent that brings a buyer through the door, and we've been on the market for 180 days, that buyer agent is going to smell blood in the water just like we would if we were the buyer's agent, and they're going to try and get a better deal. So all of this to say this is normalization. This is not a crash. I feel like if this market in Colorado Springs was going to be a crash, or it was going to crash, we would have seen it already, but we have been absolutely powering through the last 38 months with these crazy high rates and so much economic uncertainty. No matter what happens, as long as Uncle Sam is PCSing soldiers in and out, that's half of our market. We are going to be a stable market. Now, what should buyers actually do? If you know that you're going to be here for 4 years or more, be smart and buy. If you think about the math, every single month that you pay rent to somebody else, it's paying off somebody else's mortgage. Let's use $3,000 per month. Over 12 months, what is that? $36,000 that you could be putting into your own pocket, building a better equity position for your own home. It doesn't make any sense. If you're only going to be here for a year or two, then yes, I would recommend renting, and we will absolutely help you with that. If you're short term and you're going to be here, if you're in the military and you're only going to be here for 2 years, or if you know you're going to be here for 3 to 5 years, contact us. Let's run the math. Let's do the break-even point. And what I mean by break-even point is, hey, if you're buying the house for this much, this is what you're going to owe on it. 2 years from now, we can use an amortization schedule and we can see exactly what you're going to owe on it. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. Couple that with our market predictions, we can really give you some great data points to help you make the best educated decision. Don't time the market. Timing the market is one of the most difficult objections that we deal with when it comes to buyers. There's never a bad time to buy in Colorado Springs. There's just bad positioning. If you know you're only going to be here for a year or two, probably shouldn't buy. If you know you're going to be here for 3 years or more, because it always happens, Murphy's Law is always in effect. And what is Murphy's Law? Just because bad things can happen doesn't mean that they're going to happen. What Murphy's Law states is whatever can happen will happen. So let's understand that when it comes to real estate, and let us help you get into a home. Focus on the payment, not the price. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. Wherever you buy in Colorado Springs, and oh my gosh, would you look at that sunset? This is an average sunset here in Colorado Springs. Excuse me, I absolutely love it. Focus on the payment, not the price. Depending on where you're going to buy in town, the same payment can reflect from a $700,000 house to a $500,000 house. And I'm not kidding. You can buy a $500,000 house in one of the neighborhoods here on the south side of town, and your payment's going to be the exact same as a neighborhood here that doesn't have an HOA. It's an existing home built in the 80s, and it could be a $700,000 house, and the payment's going to be the exact same because of the taxes, the homeowner's insurance, etc. If you're planning on moving here to Colorado Springs, I don't care if it's in the next month or the next year or 10 years from now, we're helping families every single day here at Beaton Brothers Property Experts. Give us a call, go on our website, shoot me a text. My phone number is in the description of this video. If you call it, I will answer. I always have my phone within an arm's length. All of this verbiage that I've talked about in this video is to say, do not wait for the market to crash here in Colorado Springs. It's probably not going to happen. The worst mistake that you can make is waiting. Get in the market, get in as soon as you can. Understand that you're not buying your forever home most of the time. It's a home that just needs to work for you for several years, for you to start building that generational wealth and getting in that home and starting an equity position. You have to start somewhere. Buy a house. Do not wait. Give us a call and let us help. Again, my name is Charles Beaton here with Beaton Brothers Property Experts. Please like, please subscribe, please comment if you have any questions. The questions that you may have, I'm willing to bet a lot of other people have. So by you asking that question, you may be helping other people. We put out videos like this weekly, and it's going to be an array of stuff that has to do with Colorado Springs, real estate, investing, buying, selling. Please let us help you. Subscribe to our videos and allow us to put out content for you. And if you have any questions or there's something that you want to see in a video that we haven't covered yet, just shoot me a message. I'd be happy to create a video specifically for you.